Lions held a scrimmage today. Jared Goff did his thing. Jake Bates, not so much.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Matt Derry with you on a Friday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today is Friday, August 2nd, and Saturday, August 3rd. The Lions will head to New Jersey this weekend and face in joint practices Monday and Tuesday the New York Football Giants before Thursday night's preseason lid lifter. Hey, gang. Folks, let me tell you something. Lid lifter. I mean, never mind. I'm just being silly. It's a Friday, but thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Yes, Lions and Giants on Thursday night for preseason football. Monday on this very program, the TV voice on the preseason for the Detroit Lions, Jason Ross Jr., along with Golden Tate and Danny Rogers. But Jason's going to be on the show on Monday. We'll get his thoughts on training camp. He's been down there today. Busy day. Dan Campbell announced to the media this morning, we're scrimmaging. We got refs. We're playing regular football today. Obviously, intra-squad. We got some winners. We got some losers. We'll get into that coming up momentarily. We got to talk about the kicking situation again. We got to talk about the backup quarterback situation again. And much, much more on this, a Friday edition of Locked On Lions. The broadcast today brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs have now wound down, the sports are just not sportsing like we're used to, but this summer FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Follow us on Twitter at Derry Speaks, at Locked On Lions on Twitter, Matt Derry Facebook fan page as well. And again, thank you for subscribing and watching on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. We had Ian Eagle on 2 days ago. That was awesome. Mentioned Jason Ross for next week. And today was exciting down in Allen Park because Dan Campbell made it known that the team was going to scrimmage. So they were really going to put the pads on, put the team, the offense versus the defense, put them in certain situations. At one point today, the Lions put the ball on the 1 yard line and told Jared Goff and the offense, go get 2 or 3 first downs. And they practiced that. Situational football. And everybody that I was texting with today all said the same thing. The Lions have got to go out and find another kicker. Do I reach for the list? Do I do it? No, I'm not doing it. I'm not reaching for the list. I'm not doing it. It's a fun bit. We've been doing this for 4 years. Podcast has been going on for 8 years. But let's get serious for a second. The Lions, after today's Jake Bates performance in the scrimmage, which was competitive, probably have to call up and see if a Mason Crosby, a Brandon McManus, James Turner, Randy Bullock, any of these guys would want to come. Ryan Suckup, who didn't even kick last year, would want to come and compete with Jake Bates. We love Jake Bates, UFL legend, Michigan Panthers, whee! But Jake Bates today, during the scrimmage, went 8 for 14 kicking field goals. He hit from 25, 29, 33, 38, 43, 48, 51, and 59 yards out. All right, kicked a 59-yarder, sweet. But he also missed from 40, from 46 twice or 3 times. 51-yard miss, 54-yard miss, and a 64-yard miss. This, according to Jeremy Reisman from Pride of Detroit. Both Jeremy and Tim Twentyman from DetroitLions.com had him at 8 out of 14 field goals and a missed extra point, 5 out of 6 from the extra point distance. They've waited all week. They have not signed another kicker since the injury to Michael Badgley. They worked out some kickers last week, including the kid from Syracuse, Andre Schmidt, and others. But they're not taking this seriously, and now they might have to. Jake Bates was off to a good start. Jake Bates was banging through 60-yarders in the UFL. But they've got to get somebody else in here now to compete for the job. And it may have to be a veteran. You know, James Turner was with the team during minicamp. Went to the Packers after the Lions got rid of him. And now he's gone. John Parker Romo, who's, you know, had a cup of coffee with the Lions last year, went to the Vikings, recently got let go. You have to have somebody that's competent. I know Dan Campbell goes for it. I know Dan Campbell's not Mr. 60-yard field goal. He's more about, let's go 2-down territory on 3rd and 5. And if we don't get it on 4th and 2, we're going to go. I get all that. But today, where Campbell said he wanted this to be like a preseason game today in terms of competition when it came to this scrimmage with referees running the game, Jake Bates missed 6 field goals and an extra point. So right now, no competition for him on the current roster due to the Money Badger injury. And they did some workouts, but nothing came of it. And I also know this, you know, Riley Patterson, we joked this week, hey, bring him back for the 4th time. He's with the Commanders right now. And Brad Holmes has a month to figure this out. If a pretty good kicker, you know, a Greg Joseph or somebody like that gets let go, there are, I mentioned the kid in Cleveland whose name escapes you right now. That's, you know, there, the young kid. Oh my gosh, drawing a blank. He was bad 2 years ago, but he's got a lot of potential and they drafted him. There are kickers available and teams are carrying, many of them are carrying 2 right now. They're going to dump one. So they'll be patient and get the guy they want, most likely. But right now, for the good of Jake Bates, bring somebody else in to push him a little bit. He's on his own and he's struggling. That took place today in Allen Park. I mentioned before about Jared Goff. And I've seen lists. I know there was a list put out today from Dan Orlovsky ranking his NFC quarterbacks. And he had Stafford number 1. He had Kirk Cousins ahead of Jared Goff. He had Jared Goff at number 5. Look, Jared Goff's balling. Jared Goff is getting better every day. And everybody was saying today how good Jared Goff looked. Now, again, part of that too were the struggles of the other quarterbacks, including Hendon Hooker, who just continues to throw the ball to the other team. But Jared Goff, it's hard to think about after last year if Jared Goff could get any better. And now that he's gotten paid and he's going to be making $53 million a year, maybe. No, that chip is still on his shoulder. He wants to get back to the Super Bowl with the Lions and stick it in the face of the Rams. He does. And he was 30 minutes away from it last year. They got a taste of it. And he is performing at a very high level, even in a preseason training camp scrimmage against his teammates. On point with the football, on time, the leadership, everything else. Just was talking to folks today and they said, Jake Bates and Hendon Hooker struggled today. Who was great? Jared Goff and Aiden Hutchinson, constantly in the backfield. That's how you win in this league. Your stars starring, your big guns ablazing, doing their thing. And man, you know, you think about what Goff has done in 3 years in Detroit, and the improvement each year with the record is also an indicative of how he's played. And you think last year, oh, they'll never get any better with him, or Jeff Schwartz saying he's not a Super Bowl quarterback. He's already been to one. And I think he can lead this Lions team and continues to just do work. And great throws today, a couple of touchdowns, putting him in bad situations like we talked about, 1st and 10 from the 1, getting out from underneath your own goal line. The Lions are lucky to have this guy. And if anybody tells you, maybe Hendon Hooker will push him, please, no. Tell them to take some soap and wash their mouth out with it, because that ain't happening at all. All right, we got to get into the backup quarterback situation. There was a great offensive line list, a couple more stars from today's scrimmage, which we will talk about, including a running back all of a sudden making a name for himself. This is not a guy that we've even really mentioned much on the show. But Dan Campbell talked about him today. We'll tell you about that coming up as well here on a Friday edition of the Locked On Lions. Locked On Lions today brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers. Thanks for making us your first listen here on Locked On Lions. Shout out to our everydayers who are out there that watch or listen to the podcast daily. Don't forget Jake Riepma, Locked On Detroit Sports. He's got the postcast tonight after the Tigers take on the Royals. Jake is on after every game, and I believe I've got to find out if Jake's going to do a postcast after Thursday's Lions-Giants preseason game. We're going to be on as well and do just a regular Locked On Lions. It'll be a post-game show, but the postcast comes on live right after. I'm going to find out if Jake is doing one on Thursday night or not. So stay tuned. Bear with us. Thanks for checking us out. Again, follow on Twitter, Derry Speaks, and at Locked On Lions as well. There are some out there saying, what would the Lions do if something happened to Jared Goff? Because right now, just like we talked about with the kicking situation, the backup quarterback situation is certainly up in the air. Today in the scrimmage, both Nate Sudfeld and Hendon Hooker did not impress. Hooker just keeps throwing interceptions. Threw a really bad one today. Ennis Rakestraw and Khalil Dorsey, I think both picked off Hooker today. Threw a bad one behind one of the receivers. And Rakestraw, by the way, the rookie Rakestraw has 3 interceptions the last 3 days. You're thinking to yourself, where are we going to play Ennis Rakestraw? Where are we going to put him when you've got Carlton Davis and Brian Branch and Terrion Arnold and Amik Robertson and Emmanuel Mosley, who is making plays daily and feels healthy? You never can have enough corners. All right. Guys get hurt. Guys get hurt on special teams. And Rakestraw is having a nice camp, and he's done well. And this secondary, folks, is so much better than last year. It's not even funny. I don't know if they're going to get enough pressure on the quarterback. Who's going to be that edge rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson? I still don't know. Will DJ Reader get healthy in time to start the year so that they can be all systems, on for the opener from the D-line standpoint? I don't know. But what I do know is this cornerback room is strong. And last year it was weak. Weak. Couldn't guard the pass, especially the last 6 weeks. I don't need to run through the Puka Nacua stats, the Mike Evans stats, the CeeDee Lamb stats, the Justin Jefferson stats. Let me give you some stats. The last 4 or 5 weeks of last year, you know what they were. CeeDee Lamb against Kindle Vildor was not pretty. So here we are. The cornerback room is strong. And these guys are all performing. They're all pushing each other. That might mean with all of the depth there that Brian Branch can 100% move to safety. And I think that's going to happen. But you love to see that. But backup quarterback is an issue right now. Again, we're going to find out next Thursday night when we all watch the preseason game what Hendon Hooker and Nate Sudfeld look like. But I want you to remember a name. Because if those two guys wet their pants, Ryan Tannehill's available. I don't know if Ryan Tannehill wants to come out of retirement to be a backup and hold the clipboard for Jared Goff, who's has been very, very healthy the last 3 years. I mean, heck, Jared Goff had that game the first year in 2021 in Pittsburgh where he was basically couldn't even throw the forward pass with his right arm. It was in so much pain. And yet he stayed in the game. And Ryan Santoso missed the field goal. Ryan Tannehill is available. He's not back with the Titans, not back with the Dolphins, and he's at home with his family. You just wonder because last year, remember, Lions signed Teddy Bridgewater late. They got him in, I think, for the first preseason game. When he wore number 98? That was pretty cool. But Teddy Two Gloves, of course, is retired, and now the Lions have some questions certainly about backup quarterback because the hooker struggles today were very, very evident as he was throwing the ball to the other team on numerous occasions. Jamar Jefferson is playing well. Dan Campbell made it a point today at his press conference in the morning before the scrimmage to circle Jamar. Jefferson, remember, a few years ago was a 7th-round pick. He has been on and off the practice squad. He's been let go. He's been brought back. Lions have some really nice depth at running back. Craig Reynolds has been pushed and yet still probably sitting at running back 3. Sione Vaki, very, very active today on special teams during the practice. But Jamar Jefferson is a guy that's going to be a very difficult guy to let go if they don't want to keep 5 running backs or if they try to sneak Jefferson onto the practice squad. You know what you're going to get from David Montgomery and certainly Jahmyr Gibbs. Craig Reynolds doesn't want to go anywhere. He wants to get some playing time and be that 3rd running back. Vaki was drafted as a running back, folks. And then you got Jamar Jefferson. So really, really good depth. Great to hear. Jefferson broke off a 50-yard touchdown run today. That's awesome. You love to see it. Great competition and a young guy that's getting better. So that is a very good sign, certainly for this team. Doris Fountain, again, making plays today. Here's the thing about Fountain. You know, they're waiting on Donovan Peoples-Jones to get healthy. Dan Campbell said today, we know what we have in him already, but we just got to get him up and running and more healthy. But this Fountain kid at wide receiver that has experience with the Colts and has been with the Chiefs and Bears and stuff on practice squads is trying to make a name for himself. Caught a touchdown again today. But is this just another Dylan Drummond situation? Remember last year in the preseason when Double D, Dylan Drummond from Eastern Michigan was like, he was Mr. August last year. Dylan Drummond was Prince of the preseason. And then the Lions cut him. Fountain could be that same thing. You know, I don't know if Tom Kennedy's better. I don't know. The Lions are finding out about these receivers. There's going to be a guy that makes the team at wide receiver that, might surprise you. Because, again, there's an open slot there after the departure of Josh Reynolds. But Fountain has had a good camp and had a good day today. Question is this just another Drummond situation from last year where, hey, you were great in the preseason, but you're going up against poor competition. We'll see. But that was another guy that had a good day today. Connor Galvin, backup left tackle, undrafted free agent from last year. Another one that caught the eye and the attention of some coaches today with his play with the backup offensive lineman. You know he's going to get a lot of run during the preseason games because they're not going to be playing the starters during that time. That is for sure. All right, coming up next, an offensive line list that should not, I don't think this should be a surprise to anybody. But Lions are they at the top? Find out next. Folks, last night you had that Hall of Fame game. Some of you I know had put some money down on the Bears and the Texans, but the game got canceled basically in the 3rd quarter and called and suspended due to rain. Regardless, you had that itch. You got back into it last night and you hopped on FanDuel. Playoffs have wound down, but the sports, even though they're not sportsing the way that we want them to, FanDuel is keeping the sports going whenever you want this summer. All you got to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime that you are in the mood. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. Tigers playing tonight. You want to bet on that? Do it at FanDuel.com. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Matt Derry back with you. It is Locked On Lions on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day here on a Friday edition. Today, our man, Ross Tucker at the 33rd team and CBS and Westwood One. We love Ross. He put out his 2024 season rankings for offensive lines as groups. And he has two elites. Oh, no, he's got, how many? Yeah. He's got one elite, handful of above average, handful of average, below average, and then he's got four that are he deemed poor. He only lists one elite offensive line in his list ranking from 1 to 32. The elite offensive line group, according to Ross Tucker, from the 33rd team at CBS and Westwood One, is none other than the Detroit Lions. The only elite O-line belongs to the law firm of Decker, Glasgow, Ragnow, Zeitler, and Sewell. How about that? He's got 6 above average. Philly at 2, Cleveland at 3, Atlanta at 4, Indy at 5, KC at 6, the Jets at 7. And then average, Green Bay, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, the Bears, the Rams, the Chargers, the Bills, the Bengals, the Broncos, Texans, Baltimore, Dallas, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Tampa Bay. Below average, Miami at 23, Jacksonville 24, Carolina 25, Tennessee 26, Washington 27, Carolina 28. And then the poor offensive lines, the last 4, New England, Seattle, New Orleans, and the Giants come in dead last at 32. That is what is going to be interesting about these joint practices Monday and Tuesday is, will the Lions and their pass rushers with Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston and Marcus Davenport and Pascal and all these guys, will the Lions just destroy that Giants offensive line? Ross Tucker believes in that Lions O-line. Putting Detroit ahead of Philly is big. Ross, remember, covers the Eagles, lives in Philly, knows the Eagles offensive line, and obviously Jason Kelce retiring and everything else. But elite offensive line at number 1 is phenomenal. That's where you win games. Taylor Decker, sign long-term. Sewell, sign long-term. Glasgow, sign long-term. Ragnow, sign short-term. But actually, no, Ragnow's long-term too. Zeitler on a 1-year deal, but a Pro Bowler last year. And an upgrade from Jonah Jackson. So you love to see it. Top 5, again, Lions, Philly, Cleveland, really good offensive line with Bitonio in that group. Falcons and Colts. I don't know if the Colts are number 5 in my book. Ryan Kelly, I love. Quentin Nelson has not been as good as he usually is last few years, but there is a big premium that Brad Holmes has put on that Lions offensive line. And to make them elite, to make them number 1 on the list, man, it's going to open up so many possibilities for this season. You know, we talked about Ben Johnson, Jared Goff taking that next step. Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery. Laporta, who today was put Jack Campbell on skates a couple of times in pass coverage. And then, the development of Jamison Williams. Amon-Ra. I mean, this offense is going to be loaded. And if the defense can just improve a little bit, I'm not even saying, this defense has to be top 10 no, just better than last year. And especially against the pass, when you have this kind of offensive line, and if they can stay healthy, you just wear other teams down. The last 2 years, one of the great things to watch with this Lions team has been the O-line winning at the line of scrimmage at the end of games and running games out so that you're not needing to punt or pin a team back 95 yards and hope for the best with 30 seconds to go. There were no Hail Marys. There were no late leads blown. Sure, the Chargers game last year was a bit of a crazy game, but other than that, everybody's going to have a 44-41 type game during the year. You're also going to have like a 10-3 game when you play 17 games. But the O-line ranked number 1 by Ross Tucker. You have to love that. All right, folks, next week's going to be exciting. Monday and Tuesday, the pads are on. Joint practices with Brian Daboll and the New York Football Giants. That should be fun. We will be with you Monday after that. Off day Wednesday, and then Thursday night, 7 o'clock, Fox 2, Lions and Giants for a preseason football. We'll be on after the game and record the podcast right here. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Again, please subscribe if you haven't yet, so you get the show each and every day on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Thank you to our everydayers that are out there. Thanks to everybody that comments on YouTube and watches the show. We appreciate all of you. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday.